All right. Hello, everyone who is joining us today. Thank you so much for being on time. We are expecting a full house today. We have 100 people capacity and we were only shy of a couple of spots. So very grateful for everyone's interest to this topic and also very excited to dive deeper just in a second. We're going to give other attendees just a few 30 seconds to join before we start. But while we are waiting, please feel free to go ahead and put in a chat where you're joining from geographically or your nonprofit. And at the same time, I'd like to share that I'm joining from New York City. And then my colleague Hannah is in San Diego. So representing both West and East Coast here. But again, we'll give everyone just a little bit of time. Please feel free to grab your coffee, tea, water, and we'll be getting started. Hi, Rebecca. Oh, hi, Maria. So glad you made it. Hi, Lisa. Perfect. Nice seeing you all. Fantastic. We have Hannah. Welcome. Welcome. Love the geography. We're joining from different places. Fantastic. Hi, Shayla. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, we're 1 minute in. We love the engagement. We love to see where you're joining from. So please keep adding it in the chat. But in the meantime, we are going to get started. All right. So for everyone who is joining, again, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Yulia Zhernovaya, and I'm head of strategy and growth at Giveffect. So while I do obviously three plus years with Giveffect, my first job was actually in events. So I organized tons of different events. Now it's in different capacity, but I'm so excited about this topic and to talk with Hannah and everyone today.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Fox. I am Giveffect's customer experience manager. Like Yulia, I've helped hundreds of nonprofits set up their campaigns and advise with upcoming events. So I'm really excited about this topic as well. For those of you who might not be familiar with or are joining us for the first time, Giveffect is a software platform built for nonprofits and specifically for those who are tired of using siloed systems, ready to really streamline operations, manage donors, volunteers, grants, marketing, and more all in one place to achieve better results and financial stability.
Fantastic. And every month, starting last September, we are here. We're hosting every month speed learning sessions. And this month, we'll be diving into all about events. And today, our first session, make your next spring fundraising event campaign a success. For those who are not familiar with speed learning sessions, they are 30 minutes, very quick, but packed with practical and tactical information sessions where we spend about 15 minutes on learning and it's followed by 15 minutes of live Q&A. Again, this month we're going to be talking all about events, starting with today's sessions where we're going to focus on campaign creation. Next week, same Thursday, same time, we're going to be actually, this is going to be so exciting because we're going to welcome visual storytelling expert, Jason Ellinger, who will share insights on how to captivate your gala audience and boost donation with video storytelling. We received so many, so many questions about storytelling, video, and so on. So don't worry, those questions will be answered next week. And then last session, it's going to happen on January 31st, and we're going to be welcoming ICE, the event. It's a company that supports nonprofit and help them to run their events smoothly. And they're going to share all the secrets about the preparation, the day of event, the run of the show, how many volunteers you need, and so on and so forth. So to run your actual event smoothly, that information is so great, and we're highly encourage you to join all of the sessions. Our colleague Tara is on chat, so she will be putting links to join the future session. And stay tuned till the end of this session because we have something very special for Giveffect clients that we will tell you more about at the end. right?
Awesome. With that, we can go ahead and dive in. So, again, today we're going to be talking about setting up your campaign for success. While there are so many types of events, fundraising, awareness building, community engagement, any combination of those, today we're going to talk specifically about fundraising. Also, as a little disclaimer, we're going to skip steps such as define objectives and goals and develop a strong theme or concept. We just received less inquiries about these, and they're generally pretty well covered topics. And we would need to be here for hours if we if we dove into everything. So with that, Yulia, what do you feel like are the top three best practices for creating
Mm.
a successful spring fundraising campaign?
Oh my goodness, it's such a great question, and I love that we're starting there. So I wanted to, again, we can talk all day about all of this, but I want to just focus on three main best practices, right? That we've seen being important and received some successes among our clients. So first thing first, it will sound very basic, but it's so important. It's making sure that you pick up a date and secure more time to work on your event. Um, why why are we talking about it, right? A lot of time there are sometimes inquiries that someone come to us and they're saying like we have an event in 3 months or we have a very short lead time to the event, right? And generally it's a very stressful situation. So we've seen the most successes when you have launch your campaign at least 3 months prior to the actual event, right? Or if you ideally, we've seen the most successful spring fundraising events, gala, or any other types of the events when the campaign is launched 4, 6, sometimes 9 months in advance. So I'm going to give you like a quick example because as we prepared for this series, I stumbled on one of our clients and I was so great to see this. This is BBBS of Coastal and Northern New Jersey. And when I was on their website and I click events, I was prompted to their upcoming gala, right? So it's in June and it's already on the website. And it's not only this event. Actually, if I scroll down, there's August, there's September, and there's other events that are here as well, which is really fantastic to see. Um, at the same time, if I click on that gala, this is the campaign that I saw and want to kind of share it with everyone. I thought it's a really great example. The event is 5, 6 months ahead, right? In 5 or 6 months. And I'm not sure if this is completed or not, but I still thought that this is a great example because a lot of time organization will strive to have everything in place. I need to have everything. I have tickets, sponsorship, we have to have auctions, and then we'll launch everything, right? But that actually prevents you from spreading awareness. The earlier you launch the campaign, the more time you're going to have to actually spread the word, bring awareness, build the momentum, for your supporters, but at the same time, internally, it will give you a lot of opportunities to collaborate and give other, if you have someone, for example, helping with the sponsorship or someone who is helping with the auctions and so on, right? It just kind of centralized hub for everyone to work together, and your other team members can also utilize campaign and work with their sponsors and so on to share what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and so on. So forth. Of course, that will require you setting up a date ahead of time, right? Choosing the date, choosing the venue. But aside from that, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything to start the campaign. Um, but you will be surprised how many great benefits you will have when you have enough of time on work to work on that. The second point is use technology. It can be Giveffect, it can be any other tools out there, but I cannot stress this enough. When you're thinking about your spring fundraiser event or any other event, use of technology is just so critical for your success. When choosing the technology, make sure that it has all the features that you need. Does it allow you for multiple tickets? If you want to do the auction, does it have that capability? Or do you need to go and source another technology which will add additional time and take resources from you, right? If you want to do peer-to-peer spring fundraising event like that, do you have those capabilities? So making sure that whatever technology you choose, it will be good for your supporters. It will give them an ease to participate, but it also going to be easy for you to use. Because I don't know, Hannah, if you have that experience, but I definitely heard multiple times that someone told me like, well, we want to make Yulia, we want to make it very easy for our supporters. And I'm okay absorbing the pain. Well, while I think it's very admirable, and I think I really appreciate that customer service, mindset and make it easy for supporters to attend and support the organization. At the same time, what happens? The person who is in charge spending up to a month, like a month of time, reconcile the gift, making the data to CRM, and that's a lot of time. Specifically happens when technology don't talk to each other. When your event platform and your CRM don't communicate, that's what happens. And we're spending so much time on moving the data, reconciling, doing all of these things. While can you imagine what you can do with a month, like 160 hours a month? You can write like handwritten notes to every single attendee of your event, right? Or you can call all of them. So I cannot stress it enough that choosing your technology is so critical. Last but not least is ticket strategy. So this is something we were specifically wanted to talk a little bit about, because when it comes to best practices, we have seen some changes and we have seen some, just great results when it comes to tickets. So what am I talking about? I'm sure you all know what sells, like what tickets you sell, and it's great. But if you are specifically interested in increasing, like attracting maybe younger demographic, we all know about the great wealth transfer. If you want to bring more attention, maybe for someone who supports you through donation but never attended your events, introducing young professional tickets, early birds, we've seen some really, really great successes there. In addition, think about people who are supporting you in other capacity, right? Your volunteers, for example. Again, we've seen really great successes when organization will utilize like promo codes or some specific offers for your devoted volunteers for your organization. So those are just, again, we can talk, there's so many different things, but I think those are from our perspective, are the top best practices. But and I know you work with nonprofits every single day. So I know there is just like when it comes to digital campaign creation, there is so many different features and tools and things you can utilize. What I'm curious is what are some of the maybe underutilized tools out there that will be good for everyone on the call to utilize when they're preparing for the next spring event?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like you said, there really are just so many features. There's a couple that come to mind when I think about those that might be being underutilized. So I'll start with one that I really love, and it's data tracking. So some people also might be familiar with this as UTM parameters. Really, it's just a snippet of text that you add to the end of any of your campaign or donation URLs. And it gives you the ability to track where your donors are coming from. So, for example, you might be posting your campaign page or your donation links on all these different marketing channels, right? You're posting it on Facebook, you're posting it on your website, you're sending it out in an email. And we don't really know what is driving the most traffic or the most engagement. Um, you know, because we're not tracking it. And so data tracking gives you the ability to really easily determine where your supporters are coming from. And then I think with that data too, then you can really pour in more resources and your time to dedicate to which channel are we going to focus on. It tells you so much about your audience, and it really, we have the data, and so you should absolutely be using it. Giveffect specifically does have a tool built in that allows you to easily generate multiple links for your campaigns. But but again, the point I'm really trying to make here is that
Hmm.
this data is out there. And so you should absolutely be using it so that you can, have more information about where you should be spending your time and how you're wanting to market this campaign.
Yeah, I love that. And I think every nonprofit or for-profit organization will all talk about like how to determine ROI for marketing, which channel works, which channel doesn't work. So this is such an I think easier way to start tracking that data. And by the way, there are free tools as well. Even if you Google UTM Builder.
Mhm.
There are a couple of tools that are absolutely free and you can generate. It's going to be a little bit more time consuming, but you can generate those UTM links easily on the internet.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Secondly, and I won't dive into this too much because next week I know you're focusing a lot on digital storytelling, but one feature that I see not being utilized as often as you might think is using video instead of image on your campaign page. So again, next week, Yulia, you're going to be diving into how to use video and a session all around storytelling that for stories that inspire giving. But I do want to touch on it a little bit. So I don't think it's surprising, especially with what we see as some of the most popular social media platforms right now,
Right.
that video marketing is so popular. And it's really popular for a reason. Videos can really easily capture your audience's attention more than images can. And I think it's also especially powerful for nonprofits who are really trying to tell a strong story, right? The goal is always to help your donors understand the importance of your mission.
Mhm.
And I think, what better way than through video? You can just evoke so much emotion and really tell that story better. So
I
it's
love
that's
that.
definitely another one. And
Awesome.
then lastly, a feature that I see being underutilized, we think about our streams of income. Some of the more common ones, tickets, auctions, sponsorships,
Mm-hmm.
of course. But one that I don't see people focusing on enough is selling products. And so, we think about selling merchandise, or maybe you're doing a wine pull or raffle tickets, just trying to diversify all of your different streams of income for an event
Mm.
so that you can really capture all of your donors. You might have people who are more interested in buying merchandise than participating in your auction. And so just kind of giving options and trying to really have those multiple streams of income.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a lot of consider a lot to consider in
Yes.
preparation for the event.
Yeah.
I know we're talking today about the campaign creation. However, when we ask on the registration link, like what everyone wants to kind of learn more and know about more, I think one of the dominant question was like, well, how do we actually get people into the event, right? So there's a different variation of the question, but I think it was like, what are the most effective ways to identify and target the right audience, right, for your spring fundraising or any other campaign? So, do you have any advice along this line?
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to sound like a broken record here. But just going back to the idea of using your data to inform decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, gather data and use your data. I think one of the most effective places to start when trying to identify your audience is look at who attended your event last year. Also, who attended other events throughout the year, and even who donated over a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, again, using your data to pull these people is going to be one of the most effective ways. But also, another tip here is set up your campaigns and set yourself up for success in years in the future. There are ways, I know certainly in Giveffect, there's a way to automate so that attendees of your event are segmented into different
Mm.
groups, so that when next year comes around, you can really easily pull a report to say this person attended this
Hmm.
event. And again, that's happening all on the back end, all automated so that just less work for you that you're having to really identify who attended what event.
Yeah. And I think I wanted to add to that because, well, one thing is to identify, right, those groups and segments of donors and supporters. But the second, but I wanted to add to that that um, one, all of them need to receive personalized message. Okay, it doesn't have to be personalized by person, but it needs to be personalized by the group. Like, for example, once you identify, okay, this is the group of people who attended our last year's spring fundraising event. Let's not just send them invitation for this event, but add a couple of sentences on the top. You can use merge fields, you can use replacement variables, but let's recognize them for attending last year event or maybe some other events throughout the year, right? And making a point, telling the story about this event and inviting them. That will come across so much more personable.
Mhm.
The other example will be if you're sending invitation for, you can get a list of maybe donors who supported X amount throughout the year or X number of donation, right? And again, you don't need to create the whole new communication, right? The whole new email. It can be same email, but on the top, you're adding just a couple of sentences that would recognize their contribution, and you can show that personalization, appreciation, and it goes a long way.
Absolutely. I could talk about this for hours. I know within Giveffect too that we have some suggested giving replacement variables.
Mm.
So, based off of how much they've given on in the past, we're going to suggest that you buy this ticket or donate this amount. So definitely, absolutely a great point to bring up. Um, I think one other thing too I want to mention here is, on a kind of a similar note, is just leveraging your partnerships and your networks. So one of the most obvious examples of past partnerships is looking at your past sponsors. But I think there's also some other ways you can look at things like, do you have a lot of corporate volunteer groups? Ways that bigger organizations might interact with your organization throughout the year that are not necessarily sponsorships, that you can really target those people as well. You have existing relationships with them, and they're still gonna, so that might be another place to look too. And then lastly, I think this is a simple one, but just ask people, are they interested in being invited? So putting a question on your donation forms or your volunteer forms, just simply add it everywhere. I think it goes a long way to just ask people what they want. Do you want to
Hmm.
be invited? Are you interested in attending some of our events? And so that's another easy one to just kind of target your audience.
Yeah, I love that one. And it's just like sometimes I feel we're afraid to even ask the question, or we are afraid to like, oh, but we don't want to make this form longer. But it can be just one additional questions. It doesn't have to be required questions, but you can give an opportunity to, I'm sorry, give your supporters an opportunity to specify what they are interested in. So, right, the question can be like, how else would you like to be involved? Or something
Yes.
like that. And the drop down saying, I'm interested in volunteering, attending events, and then depending on your mission, maybe there is a mentorship opportunity or some other opportunities that you can list, and then that data will serve not only you on the event and development side, but also on the volunteering and other sides as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Ah, this is so great. All right. Well, Hannah, times fly. We are at 12:23. I can't believe that we're a little bit over time. For everyone, thank you so much for staying with us. I hope that information is great. But now we're gonna go to the second kind of part of our session, and we're gonna open the floor for Q&A. So please feel free to utilize the chat to put questions. We only have 7 minutes, so we'll try to go through as many questions as possible. But we do have a few questions that we received from registration pages, and we can start there, and then we'll go to the live question as well. Regina, thank you for asking. By the way, I see you're asking for Hannah's email. Tara, if you can help and share Hannah's information, that would be fantastic. All right. But Let's go ahead. And here's the one question that caught my attention, Hannah. How have fundraising events evolved since the pandemic? And what creative approaches have you seen work well? I'm curious to, again, you've seen so many events happening for the past few years. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think something amazing that I've seen post-pandemic is just the involvement of support from home still. So while we're back in person and we're having these in-person events, there's also still so much engagement that is happening at home. So for example, I see a ton of teams will open up their auctions even 2 weeks ahead of time so that people at home can start to
Mm.
bid on items. And then even throughout the night, you're still able to, maybe you can't make it into the event in person, but you're able to bid from home. And I think that's been such a cool development that we might have never, um, you know, came to if we didn't have that time at home through the pandemic. So that's definitely one. Kind of on that same note, I've seen also a lot of teams will also live stream their events. And so I know that that's also a really popular, kind of thinking back to the videos, just more ways to engage people at home.
Yeah, I love that. On my end, I've seen some of the our clients are doing young professionals event very successfully. So doing different types of event, different for different audience. Like I've seen happy hours, I've seen like young professional happy hours, I've seen axe throwing events where tickets are sold out and they're very low ticket price, right? Or comedy shows and so on, right? So um, I see more of those creative events and specifically targeted towards young professional, which is really great to see.
Yeah, and I think so many nonprofits are trying to get young donors, and so that's certainly a great strategy as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think it goes really well with Jonathan's question. So, and I don't know, Hannah, if you have other things to add there, but what is the approach for what have you seen being an approach for donor fatigue, which I think kind of corresponds with the question a little bit. And I do want to add, we have so much wisdom from everyone who is joining the session. If you have any comments or suggestions as well, please feel free to share them in the chat too.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, one thing that comes to mind with donor fatigue, just thinking back to my point earlier as well, really trying to diversify your streams of income. So giving people so many different options, right? Maybe you're tired of participating in the auction, but you are really interested in supporting through merchandise. So I think that's one way. And then Yulia, of course, like we mentioned, just trying to target your different audiences that you might not typically engage. So young professionals, younger donors, things like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to add to that, I think on my end, I think I've seen organizations doing more awareness, smaller, intimate donor event, community building events than before, prior to pandemic. So I think that's kind of connected to your donor fatigue. Like there are events that where you're not necessarily asking for, it's not a fundraising events, right? It's really about your mission, support, community. Again, depending on your nonprofits, I've seen some are doing tours of the facilities. Habitats for Humanity doing hobby tours, of the houses they build. It really depends on your organization, what your services. But I think offering some events that are not fundraising, but still gives you an opportunity to involve your donors in different capacity is one of the ways to go about donor fatigue. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
awesome. Um, one other question that we received, I think, I believe, from one of our clients, from McKinsey, is how can Giveffect help small organizations streamline their post-event communications and donor engagement?
Yeah, this one did come from McKinsey at Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition. So having all of your data in Giveffect, plus the ability to communicate with those people directly through the system really makes post-event engagement so streamlined. I also would recommend to utilize the workflow automation tool that we have. So this will really help to kind of limit manual work, especially with smaller teams. For example, we have a workflow automation where if a ticket is scanned, then the next day, or you can determine however many days uh, afterwards, will it'll send an automated email. Of course, that email is set up ahead of time by your team, and so it doesn't necessarily look automated. But then that way, you're not having to say the event's on a Friday night. You're not having to have
Mhm.
your team wake up on a Saturday and send those thank yous. Ticket scanned, we're sending off that email automatically, and so just another way to kind of streamline post-event communication.
Love that. And then we are on time. We did receive last question from Sammy about video storytelling. Sammy, this is fantastic question. Thank you so much for it. However, we are going to be diving into this question and many more storytelling questions next Thursday. Please come back next Thursday. We'll answer this and many more questions. And with that, we wanted to thank everyone for joining us today and diving into campaign creation, best practices, communication, and so on. Again, join us next week. We're going to talk about storytelling. On 31st, we're going to talk about logistics. And Hannah, I think you had an
Yeah,
announcement.
I was. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending. For our Giveffect clients only, I'm sorry to everyone else, but for clients only, we have a live workshop. So I'll be hosting this meeting, and we come to the session with your questions, with your campaigns. This is on Friday, January 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern, and you should have received a link to sign up for that in your email inbox. But if not, please reach out to me. My email is hfox@giveffect.com, and I'm so excited to work on your events with you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. And thank you so much, everyone, for being with us here today. Great session. And we are looking forward diving into storytelling next week. Have a great Friday.